Ladies and gentlemen, madness has once again consumed the NBA world. After the dust settled from the whirlwind of trades and free agent signings that took place a week ago, another massive move of both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George joining the Los Angeles Clippers has been causing fans to go absolutely berserk. I mean, there is no denying that this has been the most chaotic free agency of all time. Now though, most of the big name free agents are off the market, meaning that the only way for teams to continue to mix it up is via the trade market. And with Paul George suddenly being traded away from Russell Westbrook and the Thunder, speculation is already growing as to what the Thunder's plans are for Russell Westbrook. They just traded for a package from the Clippers that included tons of future first round picks, pick swaps, and a very nice young player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Essentially, they got a rebuilding package in exchange for Paul George. And while they also did land Danilo Gallinari in the process, who quietly had the best season of his career with the Clippers last year, it doesn't take advanced analytics to tell that Gallinari is still no replacement for Paul George. And if the Thunder weren't able to compete with both Russ and PG, then they're not going to stand much of a chance with Russ and Gallinari, especially when so many other teams in the West did so much to improve this summer. And add to that the fact that Westbrook is already 30 years old, about to turn 31, and you start to realize that for the Thunder, trading Westbrook seems to be the move that makes the most sense. Only question is though, how much demand is there out for Westbrook right now? How many teams need a point guard like Westbrook, and of those teams, how many will be willing to give up what it takes to get him? And that's what we're going to be looking at today. A few teams in which I think are brave and or desperate enough to roll the dice on trading for multiple-time All-Star and former MVP Russell Westbrook. Let's get into this. It's been a rough offseason to be a Knicks fan, and that's putting it lightly. After so much hope and anticipation for the signing of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, the Knicks had to settle for signing Julius Randle, which isn't the worst thing in the world, as Randle did have a great season for the Pelicans last year and is widely recognized as one of the most talented players under 25 that the league has to offer, but still, this wasn't the summer that Knicks fans were hoping for, as the addition of Randle alone does not get them back into contention for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. And even worse, the Knicks front office may be desperate enough to add a star player. Basically any star player. As during the regular season, majority owner of the Knicks, James Dolan, was adamant in a letter to Knicks season ticket holders that the club would be able to add a star level player this summer in order to bring the Knicks back into NBA relevancy. At the time, there was no doubt that he was referring to Kevin Durant and or Kyrie Irving. Now that it had turned out that way, well, like I said, I wouldn't be too surprised if the Knicks started to look at a player like Russell Westbrook as a backup option, since they are one of the few teams out there that could accommodate Russell Westbrook's massive contract, and on top of that also has enough assets to entice the Thunder to make a deal in the first place. That is, as long as the Thunder don't expect to receive the Knicks' cream of the crop young players such as newly drafted RJ Barrett, Kevin Knox, or Mitchell Robinson. However, future first round draft picks plus players like Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, and maybe even Damian Dotson or Alonzo Trier could be available. Overall though, I'm not saying that it would be the right thing for the Knicks to trade for Westbrook, as I believe when they missed out on KD and Kyrie that all of their attention and focus should have been just on developing young core that they now have. But we are talking about the Knicks here. If there's any team out there that would add a star player just for the sake of adding a star player, well, you'd have no need to look any further than James Dolan and the New York Knicks. It's been a few years now since the Miami Heat were more than just a contender to simply make the playoffs. For the past few years, a lot of fans have been unsure as to what direction the organization was going to take, whether or not they were going to bite the bullet and do a full-on rebuild, or if they were just going to bide their time and wait to land a couple of star players either via trade or free agency to catapult them back to the top of the NBA. Well, so far, this summer has answered that question for us, as the Miami Heat have been one of, if not the most aggressive team in the open trade market, already trading away center Hassan Whiteside to the Portland Trailblazers, as well as snagging Jimmy Butler in a sign and trade deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. The Miami Heat landed their first star, and while that might be enough to get them back into the playoffs this upcoming season, if they want to truly compete with teams like the Philadelphia 76ers and the Milwaukee Bucks in the East, they're going to need to add at least one other star player to their roster, which according to rumors at least, they've already been trying to do, as the Heat have been aggressively pursuing the Wizards' Bradley Beal for a while now. However, who knows how that's going to play out, as the Wizards have said that if any team wants to trade for Beal, they should be ready to absorb the contract of John Wall as well. And with that being the case, if the Wizards stick to that notion of packaging their star backcourt together, Miami might just be forced to take a look at their other options, and Russell Westbrook very well could be one of them. A quick 2-second Google search alone will pull up countless of articles already calling for the Heat to get on the phone with OKC and make something happen. As for what the Heat have to offer, well, they don't have quite the young talent that a team like New York would have to offer, but they do have Justice Winslow, who, after an injury-plagued and disappointing first few seasons in the league, finally started to come alive with the Heat during the second half of the season when Miami gave him more responsibility on the offensive end. But in the end, let's be real here, the Heat's biggest asset that they will have for getting Westbrook is Pat Riley himself, as the guy does have a way of making something out of nothing at all. And if Westbrook really does become available in trade discussions, you can fully expect the Miami Heat to be one of the first teams to pick up the phone. I'm not quite sure how content Karl-Anthony Towns has been with how this summer has been going for the Minnesota Timberwolves. To start the summer, it was clear that Towns wanted the Wolves to do everything in their power to bring him D'Angelo Russell, but we all know D'Lo already shocked the league by deciding to join with the Golden State Warriors. Meanwhile, the Wolves haven't done anything to really move the needle and help them get into playoff contention at all. And even though Karl-Anthony Towns is under contract until the summer of 2024 for the Wolves, it's never too early to start surrounding him with enough talent to appease his appetite to compete, since every year the Wolves go without making strides towards competing for a championship brings them another year closer to Towns either leaving via free agency or being fed up with finishing as the 9th or 10th seed out west and simply requesting a trade. Luckily for the Wolves though, opportunities like this will present themselves from time to time to give them a chance of landing another star player to pair alongside Towns without having to bank on landing a big free agent, something that the Wolves have struggled to do for as long as they have been around. Like the Miami Heat though, the Wolves don't have as much young talent to offer the Thunder in exchange for Westbrook themselves. They do have a nice expiring contract in Jeff Teague, someone the Thunder could use to lead the tank to the bottom and then have come out the books next summer, or if OKC is feeling risky enough and truly believe that a simple change of scenery could do them good, there's always Andrew Wiggins as well, but overall, I don't think that this is the most likely destination for Westbrook to end up, but then again, this is the NBA and crazier things have happened. The final team out there that I think could make a possible trade for Russell Westbrook, and my personal sleeper team, the team that I think would and could pull the trigger on this deal, is the Orlando Magic. Orlando is still in a very interesting situation with the roster they currently have, as they are fresh off making the playoffs for the first time since the Dwight Howard era. And with Orlando bringing back both Terrence Ross and Nikola Vucevic, it's clear that their aim is still to try and compete in the Eastern Conference. In order to do that though, they're going to need to upgrade at the point guard position, a position for the Magic that's currently being filled by DJ Augustine, who, while I suppose is serviceable at times as a point guard, is clearly better coming off the bench, as well as third-year guard Markelle Fultz, who has all of maybe 20 actual NBA games under his belt. Yeah, if they do plan to compete, the Magic desperately are in need of an upgrade at the one spot. And with other young talent on the roster such as Mo Bamba and Jonathan Isaac, the pieces for a potential trade are certainly there, even if it does cost the Magic Markelle Fultz in return. And once again, let's be real here, it's not like the Magic had to give up much to get Markelle Fultz in the first place. And for a team who is paying as much as it is to keep around players like Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic, and even Terrence Ross, why would they not be interested in adding that star level player that they've been searching for so long in Russell Westbrook? That's it though, those are the teams that I think would be the most interested in trading for Westbrook should the Thunder decide that it's time to move on. As always when it comes to things like this though, it's purely subjective and all personal opinion. There could be a team out there that comes along out of left field that cause even more shock around the league by beating any of the teams that I just mentioned in the punch, but those are just the ones that I think either make the most sense or, in the Knicks case, may just be desperate enough to add that star player. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section below though. Will the Thunder put Westbrook on the trading block, and if so, where do you see him ending up? Thank you guys so much for watching though. Got a few more videos in the pipeline, so make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with post notifications on so you don't miss out on them. But that being said, until next time, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!